Hey, rock stars, if your fab shop's overwhelmed or your supplier's missing deadlines, that's not just frustrating, it's costing you real money. That's why you call HyperFab. Based in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, and trusted across North America, they deliver custom metal fabrication for industries where precision and speed matter most. Construction, oil and gas, manufacturing, and agriculture. From fiber laser cutting and CNC bending to welding, assembly, and finishing, they do it all in-house with fast turnarounds, tight tolerances, and no handoffs. One prototype, full production, no problem. HyperFab shows up when others can't and delivers when others don't. Head to www.hyperfab.com or call Colin Harms at 1-403-308-3308. Fabrication without compromise. That's the HyperFab edge.
Coaching is about bringing out what is already in the person. Asking those questions, drawing it out, because everybody has the answer inside of them. They just may not know it.
The great Mark Cuban once said, "Business happens over years and years. Value is measured in the total upside of a business relationship, not by how much you squeezed out in any one deal." And we couldn't agree more. This is the Business Development Cast, based in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and broadcasting to the world. You'll get expert business development advice, tips and experiences, and you'll hear interviews with business owners, CEOs, and business development reps. You'll get actionable advice on how to grow business. Brought to you by Capital Business Development, capitalbd.ca. Let's do it. Welcome to the Business Development Podcast. And now your expert host, Kelly Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to episode 304 of the Business Development Podcast. And today, it is my absolute pleasure to bring you Ryan Crittenden. Ryan is a certified strengths-based coach and the founder of Excel Coaching and Development, where he helps leaders and emerging professionals unlock their full potential. With a PhD in industrial and organizational psychology and certifications in Clifton Strengths, the 6 Types of Working Genius, and the John Maxwell team, Ryan blends cutting-edge leadership strategies with real-world experience. His coaching focuses on building leadership confidence, enhancing emotional intelligence, and providing actionable strategies to navigate challenges. Through personalized coaching, team workshops, and online courses, he empowers individuals to break through limitations, avoid burnout, and create a thriving, fulfilling career. As an Army veteran, Ryan brings his discipline, strategy, and a results-driven mindset to leadership development. His expertise spans industries, equipping him with a sharp understanding of what drives performance and engagement. His mission is your success, and failure is not an option. Ryan, it is an honor to have you on the show.
Kelly, I am so glad to be here with you today.
So I'm just going to tell our listeners, I actually owe you a massive, massive apology. I was not completely prepared for the first take of this episode. And so I had to go back and I actually did the Clifton Strengths. It's pretty rare that I end up in something, like I was saying earlier to you, that I have like almost no knowledge in when it comes down to business assessment. And with this, I was like, holy crap, I am super underprepared. And so we actually are redoing this show right now, and it is my fault. I'm going to take full ownership of that. And I just want to say, Ryan, thank you so much for coming back. I'm much better prepared. Round 2 is going to be much better.
Yeah, I am glad, and no apologies needed. I think we're just gonna have to connect sometime in person, and I think it's gonna have to be over Tinbits or something.
Yes, yeah. A little bit of Tim Hortons makes the world go round, as we talked about. Dude, you've had an incredible career. You're a military veteran. Man, I can't wait to get into this today because we're actually the last show before 2026. There's a lot of people today who are looking for that leg up as they hit the new year, as they hit the
Mhm.
ground running. And I think we're going to give them that today with some Clifton strengths and some coaching.
I think so. I think it's going to be fun.
But before we do that, man, take us back. Who is Ryan Crittenden? How did you end up, a strengths coach?
Yeah, it's man, it is quite a journey for sure. I really do think it does start when I joined the military. So I joined the U.S. Army 2010, which is like weird to think that it's 16 years ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
when did we get to that point where something's decades old? Like, we're not much different in age. So that's, but anyway, so 16 years ago, I joined the military, and it really started kind of me searching for, like, where do I belong? What do I do? Like, I am stuck. And so I joined the military, and a friend of mine, years ago, we reflected back on it, and he said, "Hey, you joining the military wasn't really for you joining the military. It's for what was afterwards."
Mm.
And he was actually like my staunch. He was not an advocate for me to join the military. He was the one being like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Which is good. Like, we do
Yeah.
need those friends to like
Yeah.
really make sure we're doing what we need to be doing, right? But anyway, so I joined, and I was kind of, looking for this belonging. I went in with the mindset of, I could do 20 years and make this a career. I quickly realized it was not for me, but I still, I was different from Canada and the US. Like, I signed a contract, and I needed to fulfill the contract.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And so, but I was looking for just belonging, did the best I could while I was there. And I shared this story last time, and I think this is such a cool story because it shows two things. It shows how a leader creates belonging and creates culture. So when I was in Afghanistan, ended up in Afghanistan 2.5 months after basic training. So I'm like fresh to everything.
Yeah.
And well, one of the things that the team did that I was on is after we got back from mission, everybody went to the gym. And I didn't know what to do in the gym. And so I went to my team leader. I said, "Hey," he was working out. And I said, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Can I work out with you?" And he said, "No, I work out alone." And I'm like, "Well, okay, like, all right." And I kind of just like looked around this gym, and I was like, "I'm just going to leave." So I left. And as I'm walking out, I come across my squad leader, who's above a team leader. And he was like brand new to the team that day. I believe
Wow.
it was even that day. Didn't even know me.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, aren't you in my squad?" He called over to me, and I was like, "Yeah, I am." And he goes, "What are you doing?" I go, "Well, I don't know what I'm doing in the gym." And so I left. He said, "Well, hey, come work out with me." And I ended up working out with him about every day for the rest of that deployment.
Wow.
And we're still, even to this day, when I think about him and I hear stories from people that, served with him after I had, and stories from his wife, I'm like, man, what a great leader. But he really, in a really simple way, showed that, leaders create belonging
Mm-hmm.
for people on their team. And then they also create the culture. And he saw something, maybe you didn't necessarily, like purposely go to look out for it. But one of the things leaders do that, they take care of people in something that they're not strong in. And so I was not strong, still not strong in the gym kind of stuff, but he took me aside, like invested in me, and then made sure I was successful. And I really think that's a really neat thing. Like, if that was a story of, my time in the military, that's one of the overarching stories of creating belonging and creating a culture and wanting to be a part of something.
Yeah.
So, and then on a second note, I did have my first Tim Hortons in Afghanistan. So
That is a strange place to have your very first Tim Hortons. I'm just going to throw it out there.
the Canadian section was a different world. We'll put it that way, and it was a much better one to go hang out at.
Have you been to Canada before, Ryan?
Went to Vancouver, BC, August of 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say, if you come to Canada, there's pretty much a Tim Hortons on every single street corner.
It's wild.
It's funny, man. Like, I'm from a pretty small city in it's called Spruce Grove. It's just in Alberta. And I think we have like 5 Tim Hortons in that little tiny city itself, man. Like, you can't spit and not land on a Tim Hortons. So it really is a true Canadian
Man, that's great.
that one.
I even had Tim Hortons in Manhattan in
Wow.
New York City. Yeah, actually, I had some business partners there, and I had a Uber, and I put in my stops, and the first one was a Tim Hortons. I was like, I don't know where this is in relation to anything. That's a Tim Hortons. And then you take me to wherever, and I was like, I don't care the cost. I'm going to Tim Hortons.
There is something about that coffee, man. I don't know what they put in there.
Man, it's just good, and it's simple and just great. Anyways,
Yes. Anyways, no, it's pretty incredible, man. And I guess one of the questions is, how did your time in the military influence, you to become a coach, or maybe not to become a coach, but maybe influence you now as a coach? What were some of the lessons? I don't get a lot of people from the US military on the show.
yeah, one of the things that in hindsight, and kind of there in the present too, is it really helped me focus on what I wanted to focus on, really figure out what I wanted to focus on. Like I had that experience with my squad leader that one day in Afghanistan, and I think that was a great example of really great leadership.
Yeah.
At a very simple, non-complicated way. And I had some great leaders. I had some great moments. Like I could sit here for another hour and just tell stories of great leaders that I had in the military. On the flip side, like in any organization, I could sit here and tell stories of the really bad leadership, and I could probably do it for 2 hours.
Yeah. Wow.
And so what I really wanted to be was, like who you have to ask yourself the question, like, who do I want to be, and who do I want to be like? So when I started to get out of the Army, I knew that those good leaders made the hard times better.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to focus on my leadership development. And I joined the John Maxwell team, which, for anybody not familiar who John Maxwell is, like, world-renowned leadership guru, a bazillion books on all different types of facets of leadership, from developing yourself, developing your others, and just, like Leadership Gold, I think, is one of my favorite books that he wrote. And then one book that was really influential was the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So a lot of personal development. So I joined the team, got plugged in, really focused, probably the first time in my life, on I actually want to grow as a person. And what does that mean? And they had a coaching side. So they kind of had, at the time, 3 tracks. They had a kind of a leadership development track, a coaching track, and a speaking track. And so I liked the leadership and the speaking. I was like, coaching, whatever. It seems fluffy, seems weak, like seems weird. Like I don't know it, but I'll do it eventually.
Yeah.
And then so you go down. So they had to have a lot of online opportunities to learn and develop in a community, which was really great. But you go down to certification in person, and each day they focus on one of these different tracks. And I was not at all looking forward to the coaching track, coaching day. But it started, and I think within the first 5 minutes of the day, I was like, holy cow, we're on to something.
Yeah.
I was like, this is incredible. Just the way, and I still remember this to this day, and I still talk about it with other coaches and other people, is when the guy leading the session said, coaching is about bringing out what is already in the person, asking those questions, drawing it out, because everybody has the answer inside of them.
Yeah.
They just may not know it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like that little piece of encouragement is the
Yeah.
one thing that's just standing in their way. And it's so funny because, I look at that to like what I do with business development coaching. Like 99.9% of people know what they need to do to grow their business. What they
Totally.
need is that kick in the ass to just
Yep.
do it. Right? Like
Totally.
so much of coaching is just that. And it's like, we all need that kick in the ass. I know I did.
Yeah, man. I think I need it like every day.
Yeah.
Right. And, yeah, I was like, I got to thinking about it. I was like, man, that's so true. And then I had a chance to talk to him later. I asked him a question. Everybody had kind of stopped him in the hallway. And man, how old was I? I don't know. I was 28 at the time, and I go up to him and really gracious guy, just smart, sharp guy. He probably likes Tim Hortons too. Now that I think about it, I'm sure. But anyways, I asked him, I go, hey, this makes sense. Like asking these type of questions to draw stuff out. I go, but what do you do if they're just wrong? And he said, Ryan, they're not wrong. And he goes, you just need to keep asking them questions. Keep figuring out better questions to ask. Get into action. And eventually they'll figure out an action plan and, help them with the action plan. Then they'll learn and grow. And then they decide if they were wrong or not. And so it's entering. And what I started to learn was, as a coach, I just need to be unbiased. But what I need to do is actually help the person I'm coaching develop and decide for themselves, and then go back. The coachee goes and learns, and then comes back, and we coach through it again, or they decide where they want to go from there. And so it was really interesting. On that's how I wanted to become a coach, was from that day.
Yeah. You talked about you just mentioned the importance of being unbiased in coaching. That's not easy for a lot of people.
Yeah.
How are you able to check your opinions at the door?
Yeah, it is really tough because there are, we live in a very polarized world.
Yes.
And maybe I can even go say 2025 might have been one of the most polarizing years.
It very well could be. For those listening, we're recording quite a ways in advance. It is actually February of 2025. So, we're still hanging on from a roller coaster start to the month. I have a feeling that 2025 will have been pretty interesting.
Yeah. So I was just, but hopefully I want us to maybe say something else too. 2025 could be very polarizing, but hopefully we all grow and we all treat each other with some respect and understanding that we're all just kind of doing the best we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, I want to speak to that just quickly because basically no matter what happens ever, you still have to respond. You get to choose the way that you interpret what happens and what actions you're going to take. I think there's a lot of people who feel like life is happening to them. And I'll be honest, dude, I used to be that way. I used to be like, oh shit, that happened. Now I'm just screwed, right? But if that's your mindset, you're letting the whole world make choices for you. The empowerment is when you take your power back and say, yeah, this happened, but I'm going to choose to take this action. I'm going to choose to stay positive. I'm going to choose to move forward no matter what happens externally. That's where true power comes from. Quick pause here, and thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. I want to recognize Hyperfab, a Canadian precision fabrication company built by the team behind Hypervac Technologies, supporting projects in both Canada and the United States. They focus on high-quality sheet metal, fast turnaround, and solving complex fabrication challenges when it matters most. Hyperfab is proud to be our title sponsor for 2026. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, I love it. Man, that could be a whole nother topic.
Well, we're going into January of 2026 at this point. I know there's a lot of people out there who maybe are feeling a little out of control in their life. And, you're a coach. I'd love to have your opinion on that for those people.
So let's go back to that first question, and then we'll go back to...
Sure.
So remind me, but at least the first one, how can a coach remain unbiased? The first step is remember that the coaching session is not about you. And that's tough because like they hired you, people want your opinions and stuff like that. But when you understand the relationship that you're establishing, are you a coach? Are you a therapist? Are you a mentor? Or are you a consultant? A coach, broad strokes, maybe doesn't need to know your industry. The coach just needs to focus on you. Like we're working on you, not the problem. Now, like a mentor or a consultant would be more apt to give their thoughts and be a little bit more biased. Like a consultant, you're hiring them for the right strategies, right? Time proven, consistent strategies. A mentor being like, I've gone this way before. Now, obviously, there's pros and cons to all of it. It just depends on what you need. So does that kind of help answer that first question?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it does. I think just ultimately, you see it in therapy all the time, right? They're
Yeah.
supposed to stay unbiased. But I always kind of just wonder, it's like, no, you have an opinion here. How do you ask? You have to just feel like on a certain level, especially in therapy, that the questions being asked are being driven by the bias that they have towards their own opinion, right? And I guess, as a business development coach, I'm not afraid to just say, like, is that working for you? Because
Mm-hmm.
if that thing was working, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. Like, I'm not afraid to call out, when it's like, really though? Like, really? Um,
Yeah.
but you're right. Some of that is my own opinion and my own bias. And like, I'm asking for a friend, man. I'm asking for me. It isn't easy to check your bias at the door. That
Yeah.
was
And that's I think that's one of, so the International Coach Federation has what they call the core competencies of coaching.
yeah.
And that's one of them is to remain unbiased. And it's that thought of it's coaching the person and not the problem. So sometimes a question like, how is that working for you? It could just be more to explore the situation for the coachee to explore the situation other than how is that working for you?
Mm-hmm.
Do this instead.
Yeah. I think maybe where I fall a little bit off the wayside is that a lot of my coaching is also process-based teaching.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
it's a bit of a mix of both, right? I'm not per se like the therapist level coach. That's just not where I see
Mhm.
the mix of it all. But man, yeah, absolutely. I can see the value in what you're saying. I can see, you know what I mean? Because you can tell somebody something all day long, but if they don't come to that conclusion on their own, it's not as impactful.
Yeah. It's somewhere around 77% of people that have more success. They have more success because they either came up with the solution or they feel like they were part of coming up with the solution.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other people maybe had success because it just got beat into them and they were like, I just have to do this.
Yeah.
I don't know where that other 23% fall in, but I at least know the 77%.
Yes. Yeah. The
Um,
majority, if they come to it on their own, do better. That's
yeah,
all we need to know for this conversation.
totally. And that's the part of the coaching session, on an individual. It's a little different when I do my strengths coaching, but after that, when we enter into like an International Coach Federation, ICF standard coaching, we're gonna, have an agreement of what the relationship is, and then like a sub agreement for that coaching session. And that just means, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. Like,
Mhm.
so the coach is responsible on making sure, we stay on topic unless the client through the sessions, like, I need to focus on something else. Like something else triggers in their mind.
Yeah.
So we have an agreement, you having an awareness time where there's that conversation piece. And then there's an action piece at the end.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I just want to talk a little bit about people who may be who maybe want to do better here in 2026, right? They want to be able to change that mindset. If they're struggling with, maybe a negative mindset or I can't do
Mm.
this or I'm out of control of my life and I'm just being influenced by the world, as so many of us have found ourselves. I want to speak to them a little bit today, Ryan, because like I said, I think there has to be a catalyst of some level for people to take control of their life, to take control of their. It's funny because I know at some point I actually made that choice that I was no longer going to let the recessions of the world, challenges of the world, the negative news impact my day-to-day life. I was going to choose to make the best of it no matter what came my way. Like I said, unfortunately, I can't name the catalyst of that moment, but there definitely was a moment. And I just wanted your opinion on that. You know, if somebody came to you and just said, hey, like, I'm feeling down, I'm feeling negative, the news is shit, the world is looking like it's going to implode on me, I feel like I'm out of control of my own life. How do you help those people?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I've been there too. If I can go back to my little story for a second, when I came back and I learned about what actually coaching was, I was in a leadership role that I loved, and I thought it was like the dream job at 29, 28 years old. But and it was so much fun. And I started to implement this coach approach to leadership because I led a whole volunteer team. Like, I couldn't keep them there with a nice salary and perks. So I started integrating this coach approach. Saw some great results that the organization had never seen. And I was building this thing from the ground up. But then my boss, I don't entirely know, other than, there was some narcissism there, and maybe he felt threatened. I don't know, but really wanted to create a clone of him and me. And I started to push back. And so I eventually left, and it was a really hurtful experience because we had such great results and things were going so great, but I just ended up getting so burned out and burned. And there was I was back in Montana. I live in Colorado now, again. And I remember just thinking that too, like, I'm not like in control of anything. I was like, I'm burnt out. I'm exhausted. I don't know what to do. So personally, I made some drastic changes and left Montana altogether and moved back to Colorado.
Wow.
Where I was stationed in the Army, and I literally had the whole, I don't know, like, and and it was just me. Wasn't married. I didn't have kids at the time or anything like that. So I was like, if I'm going to go back to Colorado, now is the best time.
Yeah.
And so I just packed up and went back to Colorado, and some gracious friends help me hit restart. And so I think that in those moments where, man, things feel crazy and you're out of control and, you're just experiencing all these emotions, like, first, it's okay. You're not alone, is what I definitely want to emphasize, is like, people have these experiences. It's normal. It's okay. So one, if you need to talk to somebody, be sure to do that.
Yes.
And go from there. But I think on maybe what you can do now is, recognize it's okay, and see what that first step is towards clarity. First step to, getting things back under control. It could mean, like, mine was kind of drastic. Like, I left.
Yes.
And that was needed. I don't think I could have stayed.
Yeah.
But just think about, what is that first step that's going to help you get some clarity, or that first step to help you get some control. And maybe that is that, hey, I need to go sit down and have Tim Hortons with a friend, and we need to eat a donut together, and I just needed someone to listen to me. Not someone to fix you, just someone to listen to me.
I love the analogy of take the first step. It's something that I've actually talked about quite a bit on the Business Development Podcast over time. And it's that no matter what you choose to do, like, even this entire podcast, 304 episodes, started with a decision to do it, right?
Yep.
With no shows, no equipment, just, I'm going to try it. And then that decision piggybacked into learning about equipment, which picked into buying equipment, which then picked into, okay, now what's next? Do we need hosting platforms? I guess what I'm getting at here is, every journey, no matter how big or how long or how big or how bold, starts with taking a simple action, the very first step. And I just love that you stopped there, because I think that's powerful this time of year. 2026, January, people are looking to do something big. They're looking to do something bold. They're looking to change the world or change their lives. But you don't change it all at once in a gigantic big picture move. Change it by making a simple decision and taking one small action and then taking another and then another. But it's many small steps that lead to big, bold action over time.
Yeah. A lot of times, at least for me, and I imagine, I'm not alone in this, when you start thinking of that big picture, and I like big pictures. I love to like daydream and look out my window.
Yeah.
But when you're planning, and you can almost get overwhelmed being like, man, I don't have $100 million company yet.
Yeah.
Or I'm never going to get there. Or maybe you will. I mean, and maybe also you don't want to, because that's a really big company. But anyways, that's besides the point. That's a lot of work. But it's like get overwhelmed and you almost get that shell shocked and you don't do anything. And then it's like, oh man, no, it's like you're missing out. Like, do that one step. So great word there, Kelly, too.
No, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it is. The big picture, you're absolutely right, can be a little bit overwhelming. There's also something that many people don't talk about, and I'd love to talk about it with you. And that's that some of the most incredible things that have ever happened to me, I never saw them coming. I could have never planned for them. They were just life laying out the path and saying, do you want this or not? And like I said, this podcast is one of those things. I never really planned it. I knew I wanted to do something big, but I could have never seen what we would do with this show or the opportunities that would present themselves to me because I made the choice to do it. So much of your path in business, in life, whatever you're going to do, is simply going to be being in the right place at the right time and saying yes to that great new opportunity that presents itself to you. You can't plan that.
Yep. Yeah. And here's a great example. We'll kind of pick up my story. So I moved back to Colorado. I have no idea what I want to do, even career-wise. I had no job. I was making some money for my GI Bill going to school. And I moved into a friend's basement for a few months. But I got reconnected with some old friends, like one of those houses that everybody hangs out at.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was back in Colorado for like a week or so. And I saw on Facebook, hey, we're all hanging out. I'm like, oh, sweet. Hey, tell me your address again. It'd been a couple of years. And so I go over, and his dad and another friend are talking at their kitchen table about this team coaching event that they're getting ready to do. And I'm listening to them, and they're saying all these things that I wish I would have heard from my boss. They're talking about, their strengths and, helping them develop their strengths and having a team culture, and there's an identity and all this kind of really great stuff. And I go, what are you guys talking about? And they tell me that, hey, we have a strengths-based coaching company, and this is what we do. We help people know and love and flourish in their strengths and all that. And I was like, well, interesting. I go, well, I'm a John Maxwell coach. And my friend's dad goes, well, hey, we should talk some more. And from there, I take this really powerful assessment called the Clifton Strengths Assessment. And he coaches me through what I call Strengths Foundations. And it was really good, actually, for me personally, because one, I was feeling pretty defeated. So I really had some validation that I had strengths. I had unique contributions.
Yeah.
I learned who I was not, which is also really important. And then maybe more important too is I could actually I could have a language about it. Because, some people are like, yeah, I know I have strengths, but it's like, well, name them. And so this really helps giving a name.
Yes.
Yes. And so we do that, and I'd end up joining their coaching company as a coach. And I'm like super involved. And then I remember it was towards the end of December of 2017. And my friend's dad, he's the CEO of the company, goes, hey, we were talking and we'd like to bring you on as a partner. And I'm like, I don't know what that means, but yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
And so I joined as a partner in the company. And we just really hit the ground running. I mean, it was fun, like figuring out how to scale a business, totally bootstrapped. We ended up having coaches in Europe, like in a really short amount of time. So we got to figure out, how do we support our coaches? And then it was, how do we support our coaches internationally? Like when I joined, we didn't even have a really great way to invoice clients. And so we've, got that figured out, and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, so that whole thing of like, you never know what's going to happen when you say yes. And
I love that. Honestly, it would be so boring if we just knew everything that was coming our way,
totally.
I think as entrepreneurs, we can get super overwhelmed because we feel or we try to control everything, right?
Yeah.
We're going to get into my Clifton strengths, but I like to be in control of things. I do my best, but you know what? I also recognize that, like I said, the best opportunities that have ever come to me, I pretty much had nothing to do with it. I was just in the right place at the right time. The opportunity presented itself. Sure, my actions led me there, right? Like, it would have never presented itself had I not done other things or made other choices. But I genuinely think that the best opportunities that come to anybody in their life, they can't see coming. And there's something that's incredible and magical about that. And I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't want to know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty great. Yeah. And I had no idea. I had no idea what would happen. And we had a lot of fun, like doing business trips to New York City, spending some time there.
Wow.
I'm just small town, Montana. So it was really neat. And then just, the influence that I actually could extend by training coaches, and then so I'm actually doubling my influence because I'm training the coaches who are coaching people while working with my own teams and my own clients. A lot of fun. It's been quite a journey on the coaching world. And so it's, pretty unique and life-giving to me too. But it all started with me starting to know what my strengths were, and then actually begin to love them.
Yeah.
And also love who I'm not. That's,
That's
really
harder.
important too. Yeah. And there's a lot of aspects to that of, understanding who you're not. So when something comes up, you either have a person you can partner with, or you have a system or process to help guide that. But then, on a flip note, I got married July of 2019, and who I am not, and we'll kind of explain more when we talk about your assessment a little bit. But when you understand who you're not, it's funny how the person who you're not shows up in your life and you end up marrying them. So those, so it's like, so one of the talent things, I'll explain those here in a little bit, is this theme of deliberative. And people that are really excel at deliberative are people that kind of slow the process up a little bit to ask questions, and they're deliberative, believe it or not. So they're slow, but in regards to executing, but they're doing it with a purpose to ask questions, to make sure some things are figured out on the front end. And I'm not that way. I'm more of I can kind of see a path forward, so let's get going. And if I need to pivot along the way, I'll pivot. And sometimes I feel like I pivot way too much. But my wife is very deliberative in asking questions. Can really, with the benefit, one of the benefits is, you can save a lot of time and money by asking some questions ahead of time.
Yeah.
And,
oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I just have to pause you there because I think me and you are more alike than we might have known. Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'm in the same boat. She's the one who's like, honestly, it frustrates me because I feel like I'm being challenged. And I'm like, okay, look, I feel like I've thought this out. Like, stop challenging me. But you're absolutely right. She's asking me the hard questions that I never stop to ask myself along the way, along my journey, where I'm just like, yeah, this is going to work, and just wing it a little bit. But
totally.
I'm such an action-oriented person that I just want to keep moving down the path, right? And it's like, just agree with me, babe. Just agree with me. Let me know I'm right so I can just keep going.
Yeah, and and it's not necessarily like a challenge or not trying to like stir anything up or think you're wrong, but it's just like, yeah, like maybe I should wait. Maybe I should wait a day.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll feel different. And there's
Yeah.
actually been a few times there's been a few times where it's kind of slowed some things up and I'm like, oh man, I'm really glad I didn't do that.
Yeah.
But then it's also really great in a relationship too, when you understand that about even just an employee or it's a coworker, teammate, your boss, your significant other being like, oh, they're not like trying to fight me on anything or they're not being jerks or anything like that. They're just being who they are. Like that's, and it's just like, oh, yeah, that actually kind of, there's that, then it opens up that relationship of when you understand who they are, they understand who you are. And then that's one of the great things about this assessment and having strengths-based coaching and development in your life but professionally and personally.
I love this. I love this. And so let's just segue right into it because I know we have a lot of listeners right now who are like, hey, you guys have been talking a lot about the strengths-based thing.
Yeah.
What is it? Because I think, like I said, when I first came into this interview with you in round 1, I think I thought I knew what it was and I didn't. And that was where like I realized by the end of chatting with you that like we needed to redo this show because I needed to get up to speed. I needed to better understand what we were talking about so that I could ask better questions, so that I could help more people. And so, let's get into that part right now. There's a lot of entrepreneurs listening right now who have never heard of strengths-based coaching. They know what coaching is, but they don't know what strengths-based coaching is. Can you maybe 2 things lead us into what is strengths-based coaching and then lead us into how it is different from like a typical coach?
Yeah, that's great. So strengths-based coaching is my favorite. So that's the most thing of what's most important here. No, but it's where, strengths is all about what's right with you. So when you go into strengths, starting to develop your strengths, it's really you as a person. Like the biggest change first starts with you. And that's what strengths are. And like I was kind of saying earlier is, a lot of people know I have strengths, but they can't communicate it.
Mm-hmm.
So first being able to know where you need to grow in your strengths because you have exponential amount of potential building on your strengths. So it goes into strengths-based coaching. We're going to focus on those things that are right about you. There's nothing to fix. Like we're not fixing you here. And then it's goal oriented. So thinking about strengths-based goals. So if your goal is to start a podcast, knowing your strengths, I might say, Kelly, what kind of significant impact do you want to make with your podcast?
Yeah, I want to change the world.
Yeah. And then, so that's one, and I just so happen to know his strengths. So I use, or at least his top 5 assessment. So when you start to understand that, you can start to tailor your questions based on what is really going to land with the person you're working with. And so what are those kind of goals? So the high vision of it is, I want to make an impact in the world.
That's right.
Well, then you can start to break it down from there into those actionable steps.
Okay. So it's a little bit about bringing a vision to life on a certain level.
Yeah, totally. Because I would almost maybe even say self-awareness, because you can't really, I don't personally. So let me just share this. So the clients that I have that I do my Strengths Foundation coaching with have far greater coaching experiences and results than clients that do not do strengths coaching first. So if you're looking to have like greater results with a coach, man, building on your strengths. And the great thing is like your coach also knows you because you've spent time just working together on strengths. Even if you're pretty aware and you're already a growth oriented person, then it just complements all of that. And it could actually shed more light and more awareness on more areas of growth, give you that language than just not having that. So I even tell those folks that are already growth oriented, like, let's do this. It's well worth the time because the benefits of further coaching as you progress on your career or progress on your goals is so far greater than if you just didn't.
Yes, I can see what you're saying. I can absolutely see what you're saying. But I think I need you to just paint it a little broader for us entrepreneurs who are so
Yeah.
single-minded. What we're thinking is, how can better understanding my strengths help me achieve more in my business? Help me achieve more on a day-to-day basis? Help me maybe to achieve balance, which so many of us are
Mm.
searching for and struggling to find, right? I always say, like, if you're an entrepreneur, you're probably so far unbalanced, you don't know what you're doing. You just know that you're going somewhere as fast as you can. Paint it for me a little bit. What can knowing my strengths truly and building
Mm.
those, what can that do for me in my business, in my career?
Yeah. So I think there's probably a few different ways to approach this. At least for me personally, when I look at the Clifton Strengths Assessment, my number one, and the numbers are irrelevant, we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But the top of my assessment is a talent theme called futuristic, and it's in the thinking domain. And kind of like I said earlier, like I like to dream, I like to daydream, I like to stare out the window.
Yeah.
Actually, I have to have my window, like my desk, in some sort of relationship to a window. And I never knew it until that because I just like to look out
Yeah.
and see above me. So, as an entrepreneur, that having that vision of like, man, I can, reach these kind of clients, we can make this kind of impact, and it's really great. You need that. But if your head is always out there and you can't figure out how to put anything to steps,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get anywhere. So even that first step, like I was talking about earlier, like think about that first step, sometimes is really hard for me.
Yeah.
So knowing that is, like I can grow my vision. I need to be able to communicate that vision, but then I also need to know how to put it into steps. And even if, like, let's say you're a person that likes to check the box, like you just love checking box, you got your to-do list and you just are checking boxes. What happens if you keep checking boxes to 10 p.m. at night every night for no reason?
I've been there.
And you, and you have a family,
Yeah.
then and it's tough too as entrepreneurs because we're like, if I don't work, I don't get paid.
Yeah.
My kids don't eat.
Yeah.
But then it's also, my kids also want to know me. My wife also wants to know me.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that balance can also come in. Knowing your strengths, you could almost say regulated, unregulated. Are you growing? Are you maturing in your strengths, or are you stagnant or even immature in your strengths?
Interesting.
So those are some aspects that knowing those aspects about you and about your talents, working with a strengths coach can help you as an entrepreneur knowing, hey, my futuristic is great. I love to cast a vision, but I'm going to need help on getting boots on the ground and things moving forward.
Yeah. So you can better identify maybe the tasks that you really need to outsource, even though right now you're trying to do them. You're trying to tell yourself you got this, right? But you're like, no, you should probably outsource that, right?
Totally.
One of the things that you talked about there was the fact that you could have a strength that you're immature in. In my mind, I would think that if I'm strong at it, doesn't that mean that I'm pretty good at it? Talk to me about that. How can you be immature in a strength?
Yeah. So let's talk about the assessment itself a little bit. So the Clifton Strengths Assessment is built on 50 years of research from Donald Clifton, who the assessment's named after, was a really brilliant guy, known as the father of strengths-based psychology. And they researched people for 50 years. And just incredible. I mean, you can talk about that forever, and Gallup has a lot of great resources on that. But anyway, so they studied people for 50 years. And the assessment, while it used to be called Strengths Finder, or now it's Clifton Strengths, it actually doesn't identify strengths, which is funny enough, but it identifies talents. So a talent is a natural way of thinking, thinking, behaving, or acting that can be productively applied. So those things that just naturally happen. Like I naturally want to look out the window and daydream.
Yeah.
Like they studied people that do that, and there's some people that don't daydream. I'll real quick side story on that. My best man, who's my best friend, I asked him years ago. He was in career transition. He goes, "Yeah, I don't quite know what to do." And I said, "Hey, what do you dream about?" Thinking I had all the answers, right? What do you dream about? And he goes, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Well, what do you daydream about when you think about like your job? What do you think about?" It's like, I don't do any of that. I just daydream about like, racing my car and spinning donuts in the in the parking lot. And I was like, I don't know what to do here. I was like, okay, whatever. So when I got into strengths-based coaching
Yeah.
and he took the assessment, come to find out futuristic was actually number 34 on his assessment. So it's one of the 34. He just is not naturally inclined to think that way. But anyway, so that's part of the assessment too, is that it doesn't tell you strengths. It tells you areas of talent. Now, talents can be developed into strengths through knowledge, learning about yourself, that awareness, and then developing, thinking of action steps to actually develop a talent into a strength. And then how do you could almost say launch that strength along the way. So the 1 through 34, like I kind of said, is irrelevant. But when you take the assessment, when you answer the questions, it's like a drop in the bucket. And so when each talent has a bucket. So number 1 is just the one that you had the most drops in the bucket. Number 34 probably had no drops in the bucket.
Gotcha.
So as long as you're answering it truthfully and how you would feel and not how, you feel like your wife would want you to answer or your boss would want you to answer, but you're answering it for yourself, it is incredibly accurate.
Yeah.
So it's broken down. One of the things that I do in the Strengths Foundation coaching is we're going to look at all 34 assessment, and we're going to help identify 3 areas in your assessment. So
Right.
It's your signature talents. People usually have 8 to 16. So 1 through 16 could be your signature talents. Signature is you all the time, like 24/7, like you can't feel like you turn it off.
Yeah.
Middle part of the assessment I call supporting talents. Those are stuff that you can do. You could develop those, but you could be a little bit dispassionate about it.
Yeah.
The bottom part of the assessment I call non-pattern talents.
It's who you are not.
It is who you're not. They're
Yeah.
not part of your pattern.
Yeah.
And that was really good for me. Like I was sharing a little bit earlier about that role that I had that I loved that ended up getting burnt out, and my boss didn't understand me. He wanted me to be like him. When I looked at the assessment, when I was going through the coaching, there's so many revelations for me. But one of them was I got hired for my top 5 on my assessment because those are me like all day long. But it's like he wanted me to be my bottom at 5. I'm not. Those are not me.
Yeah.
And I can see them in other people, and I love them because I'm like, man, you're awesome. Like
Yeah.
those are not me.
Yeah.
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 So that's a little bit about the assessment. So it actually doesn't tell you strengths. It just tells you where you can grow.
Yeah.
And with working with a coach helps kind of understand those strengths and be able to or those talents to be able to productively apply them, but then also have a game plan and understanding of who you're not.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think that is very clarifying. And what you're saying basically is that if you can understand this ahead of any other coaching or training that you do in your life, it's going to be that much more effective for you because you understand who you are and who you are not, and you can kind of decide whether or not or how you're going to approach that next training or that next coaching.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's been so just beneficial for me personally that I've shared this a few times. Like I realized I was awesome.
Yeah.
Because when we look at the assessment, and Kelly, you sent me your top 5 assessment, which is great. Because you're top 5, this assessment shows that there's a 1 in 34 million of a chance that someone's going to have the same top 5 as you in order.
Wow.
And so 1 in 34 million, like that's possible. Now, Kelly, but for someone to have the same 1 through 10 as you is a 1 in 447 trillion of a chance.
Wow. So it really is that like unique imprint of who you are as a human,
But it gets better. So Kelly, for someone to have the same 1 through 34 as you, it's a 1 in 295 followed by 36 zeros of a chance.
So it's basically impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that what's cool is it really shows the uniqueness of other people, of yourself. And when you understand how unique you are, you can start to understand how unique someone else is. And the more you start to understand your strengths and who you are not, your non-patterns, you can start to see it in other people. Like I was sharing about the deliberative talent. Believe it or not, it's a non-pattern talent for me, but it's a signature talent for my wife.
Yeah.
And so then that's the cool thing when you're able to see, like, it used to really frustrate me a lot, but now I really love it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And not only do I love it, I really need it, like every day.
You realize that it's more beneficial than it was, a negative. When before you're probably headbutting all the time, being like, why don't you just see it my way? And it's like, because we're different people.
Yeah. Stop trying to fight me on everything I do.
My gosh, I'm going to have to have Shelby do this assessment now too, because now I really want to know.
Yeah. I've had friends, like first dates with who would then become their spouse, like have them take the assessment, and they just sit there and drink their coffee and wait while their first date person is, taking this assessment. And it's like, that's pretty bold, but go for it, man.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're getting into.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, these results don't go well. We're not having round.
That's right. If we're too similar, probably this is the last date.
No pressure, though.
Yeah, answer it the way you want to.
Oh my goodness, dude, this has been incredible. Thank you so much. I'm so thankful that we did this a round 2. This was 150% better than round 1. We really knocked it out of the park. And I have to say, I am thankful that I also did the assessment ahead so that I better understood it. And it just allowed me to be able to have a much better conversation with you with something that, frankly, I think most people, unless they've done this assessment, have no idea. I would encourage, by the way, anybody listening right now, do this assessment. It wasn't long. I think it took me like 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops to complete the assessment. It was very easy and very, very eye-opening. The questions were interesting, to say the least.
Yeah, and it's so accurate. There's so much data provided. Part of my degree was on assessments, and so it really is just so great. And those questions are so specific. But yeah, take your time, but don't waste time because it's timed.
Yes.
So I would say if you have a little bit of a nudging one way or the other, go that way. I don't think I can officially say, but try to avoid neutrals.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like this one a little bit more, just do it a little bit more. Because like I said, it's those drops in the buckets.
Yeah. I found it really interesting when I was doing the assessment, how pulled I was, like how quickly I would be pulled to one side or the other. Like,
and just follow the gut instinct.
Yeah, exactly. Follow your gut instinct. That's exactly it. Like it felt like intuitive, like an intuition one way or the other. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed that part.
Great.
Ryan, we're talking to a lot of people. It's New Year 2026. They're hearing this and they're like, holy crap, this assessment sounds cool. Number 1, where can they do the assessment? And number 2, talk to us about Excel coaching and development. How do people get a hold of you? What are your services? And what is your service areas?
Yeah, great. So let's talk about like service area first. Working with me. If you can speak English, I can help you. If you speak any other language, but you can type English, you can email me or contact me at excelcoaching.net. My email is ryan@excelcoaching.net. And I will get you connected with a coach that speaks your language or who can serve better. So first, the assessment is taken through Gallup. They are a research and development company. They are really fantastic. So many resources on everything. But you can take the assessment at gallup.com. If you work with me, I will provide you a code for everything. So one of my foundational service is the Strengths Foundation, where we kind of, like I broke down with Kelly a little bit, where we're going to identify those 3 areas. But then I also do one other thing after that, before we get into like the coaching, like what you want to work through. I like to do the 6 types of working genius, which is a much smaller assessment, but it helps you identify 2 areas of 6. So they have 6 geniuses, but it's going to help you identify 2 areas of your work genius. And it's really focused on energy, joy, and fulfillment. And then it's going to give you 2 areas of competencies, things you do well, and 2 areas of frustration. And we'll talk about that. And they really correlate well with strengths. And both are great for teams. So what I do when I work with teams is individually, everybody does those. Then we go into a team coaching event where everybody's speaking that common language, knows their strengths, knows their geniuses from the 6 types of working genius. And we're able to increase collaboration and trust and ways forward through just really honest conversations. Mm-hmm. And honestly, even being able to affirm each other. Because if we were to put Kelly's strengths up on the wall, everybody would be like, "Oh, I see the achiever. You love checking those boxes. Like you want to make an impact and be seen as a competent professional. I see your significance.
Yeah,
that's amazing." And so really, really start some really great team collaboration based on those strengths and geniuses.
Oh, I could really see that, especially in a team environment where that could be really powerful. Actually, speaking of that, in a team environment, if we have, larger scale business or medium-sized businesses listening, how many employees can you work with at a time?
Yeah, so that's a really great question. So while I have my own coaching brand, Excel Coaching, I am still part of that coaching company that I helped start. Not necessarily help start, but help scale and launch and grow.
Yeah.
Just in a different capacity. So I'd say if you're a large company, we can work with you. So we have resources to excellent coaches that I've probably also helped train. So we have the same, not much is different, very little, but we'd be able to help you. The idea is, the more engaged your people are, the better results you're going to have. And so we really would love to help work with someone on that.
Amazing. Okay. So is there like a limit to the amount of people, just out of curiosity? Like if they came to you and said, hey, we have a 250 person company, we'd like everyone to have the assessment. Is that something that's possible?
That is possible. Just know it's going to take a little bit of time. So we'll make sure we plan accordingly. Most teams are 10 to 15 people. And I've worked with, as a team, as small as 3.
Okay.
But then even I've worked with like managers and their direct supervisor, like a director level, and their manager. So I've done that along with working with the manager's team underneath them. So there's, let's get creative and we'll think of what's best for you.
Amazing. And there's one last thing that I want to talk with you about, Ryan, because you mentioned in our last interview, you are actually releasing a book. And by the time this show is live, that book will be out, and I will make sure that it is linked in all of our posts and the show notes to this show. So if you're hearing it and you want the book, Ryan, tell us all about it.
Yeah. So if I can share it, I actually will have 2 in 2025. So one is I'm a contributor on. So there's 15 of us contributing to this book on entrepreneurship, and I'm writing mine on strengths-based entrepreneurship. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the title of the book. I don't have it in front of me, but we'll have a link, and it'll be released summer 2025.
Perfect.
And that'll be really neat. That one is going to be, at least for me, I like stories. So you're going to have some of my personal story in it. My individual book is, I'm really excited about. This is neat. It is a story on leadership development. We're going to follow the journey of a young emerging leader, Alex, as he's in his organization and seeing, leadership in action, good and bad, along with practical, hopefully relevant, relatable experiences as he's journeying in leadership. But then stuff for you and I as we read each chapter to consider. But it's really a story of maturity in leadership, not just results driven. So I'm really excited about that. Don't quite know what the name will be for that, but it should be out October 2025.
Okay. Amazing, Ryan. October 2025. It'll definitely be out by the time you're hearing this show. It'll be live. It'll be in the show notes. Ryan, it's been an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure. And dude, I just want to say thank you so much. Like I said, the first version of this just wasn't this.
Yeah, this was great. This was such a fantastic time.
I think both of us came back with our A game and just knocked it out of the park, man. And I just want to say thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you for frankly teaching me about strengths-based coaching, bringing me up to speed. Yeah, this has been incredible. So thank you so much.
My pleasure. And I am glad to come back anytime you might have me.
I very much look forward to it. Until next time, you've been listening to episode 304 of the Business Development Podcast, and we will catch you on the flip side.
This has been the Business Development Podcast with Kelly Kennedy. Kelly has 15 years in sales and business development experience within the Alberta oil and gas industry and founded his own business development firm in 2020. His passion and his specialization is in customer relationship generation and business development. The show is brought to you by Capital Business Development, your business development specialists. For more, we invite you to the website at www.capitalbd.ca. See you next time on the Business Development Podcast.
Hey, rock stars, if your fab shop's overwhelmed or your supplier's missing deadlines, that's not just frustrating, it's costing you real money. That's why you call HyperFab. Based in Lethbridge, Alberta, Canada, and trusted across North America, they deliver custom metal fabrication for industries where precision and speed matter most. Construction, oil and gas, manufacturing, and agriculture. From fiber laser cutting and CNC bending to welding, assembly, and finishing, they do it all in-house with fast turnarounds, tight tolerances, and no handoffs. One prototype, full production, no problem. HyperFab shows up when others can't and delivers when others don't. Head to www.hyperfab.com or call Colin Harms at 1-403-308-3308. Fabrication without compromise. That's the HyperFab edge.